place off 75, exit 201, a place called Buckner's. And it's that way. If you and your friend or your wife or whoever come there to eat, they'll sit you with another family of 4 or 5 people, and you're spending that lazy Susan with all the food. You know, they come in with that little cart, they just start setting it up there, and you spoon it off, and you know, they'll come back within a few minutes and say, what else you guys need? Oh, we need some more of this, we need some more chicken. But they're famous for their pulley bone, which a lot of people don't know what a pulley bone is.
Wishbone?
But it's the wishbone off the chicken breast, and it's the way you cut the chicken up is how you get that part of it. But they're famous for their pulley bones, and their fried chicken is real well. Their slaw is really good.
Laura and I went there one time.
Yeah.
I don't think who went with us. It was just Laura. There were some friends of ours that were with us. But anyway, that was my first time there. As a child, we used to have the wishbone all the time. You know, we kids would make a wish.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got a lot of pictures of celebrities that have stopped in there to eat.
That's right.
Family restaurant, a lot of young kids work there.
And Laura had told me about it, and I've heard about it from people for years. When I finally was able to go there.
My hot dog is very delicious.
Yeah, I love these chili dogs.
Now, was that the owner at the window? Do you know?
I believe she is. Her daughter had taken the place over because she had retired, but apparently her daughter's out today. I wish I'd actually spoken to her more rather than just being shooting. But I'll speak to her before we leave. But yeah, she's the owner. She was the owner down on 13th Street when it was below Channel 3 as well.
That's funny that an Asian woman would run a hot dog stand.
Oh, I know. Oh yeah, you just reminded me what I want to mention is the really fine ground chili. Hot dog chili. I love that.
Well, have you ever had New Way?
Yes, in Macon.
Yeah. Do you know what New Way chili is made from? Chicken livers.
It is?
Chicken livers.
And that's why it's so dark.
Chicken liver. It's also got cinnamon in it, as well as other spices.
Maybe I didn't need to know that.
Well, I told my wife that too. She goes, I don't need to know that. I said, well, you never knew. What's the difference? Just keep right on eating it.
I liked it, but I liked this better. But now I know why. It's because of the liver.
Yeah.
But it was...
well, it's also ground real fine. And that may be what this is, because that's ground kind of fine.
It's ground really fine. But there's a more, I don't know, more serious flavor to the chili of the New Way. And I liked it, but I liked this better. And also noticed the color difference in the chili. It was much darker, and it's because it was liver. But that's interesting. But
and how we found that out was in Macon at the Al Sharia temple, they were having a chili cook-off, and we had got some stuff together, got a tent, and we're trying to figure out a chili recipe. Well, we found out somebody went and asked one of the workers at New Ways, what's in your chili? I said, well,
chicken beaks.
Well, she said it's got chicken liver in it. It's also got cinnamon and some of the other, I don't forget what else they said was in it. So we decided to use venison, deer meat. So we did a deer meat chili with cinnamon in it, and we actually scored really well.
Really?
And yeah, a lot of people.
That's interesting.
A lot of people liked it, and we didn't advertise it. It was venison because people were coming up in a little sample cup. They would buy the sample cups, and then they would rate you, and we actually did really well. It surprised me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's interesting. When I was a kid, I had venison. In Aberdeen, Maryland, my dad would go deer hunting. And as a kid, we ate it. And then I had some down here, like 20 years ago. I wasn't really wild about it. It was, as they say, it was really gamey. When we tried cooking it with bacon, it was still gamey. I also ate rabbit in Maryland. But the chili. This is the closest thing, and maybe it's almost identical to, in Waverly Hall is the Minute Market, which is now, it's still kind of the Minute Market, but it's under new management multiple times. But as kids, we'd go up there and buy these 99-cent chili dogs wrapped in plastic and cellophane, or like Reynolds wrap, and the chili and the ketchup and mustard were all smashed together under the plastic. Those were just the best chili dogs as a kid that I ever had, and that's what I've been looking for as an adult. And this is the closest thing to that.
And I think that's a lot of when you go try to figure out some place to eat. Well, you go from meals you've had previously, and like, say I've never been to, well, I hadn't been to Columbus in a long time, and I would be looking for places that I had eaten 30, 40 years ago.
Yes. I think you had talked about Pritchett's Catfish House before, had you?
Yes, yeah.
Which is just right up the road here,
Yeah.
and is long out of business. But I'd heard about it forever, but I'd never actually been there.
And like I said, that's probably been 40, 45 years. That's probably when the last time I came down through here was at that place. Because my cousins lived here. We drove over and met and ate with them. And I think my grandmother, which her sister lived here, which was my great aunt's sister.
I got you.
And we all would come here and visit and hang out. I don't know if we spent the night. I don't think we did. I think we drove back. But that was back when 96 was and 80 was a 2-lane road all the way.
Yes, I remember that
all
too.
the way back.
Like 280 in Phoenix City to Opelika. I used to have to drive that road in the news truck late at night, coming back from covering something with on that little 2-lane road, and so it was wonderful when it became a 4-lane.
Well, what's hilarious is I think my next to the oldest daughter was coming to Columbus. I think they were going to spring break or they were going somewhere, and Panama City or Pensacola or somewhere, and she's driving on Highway 80 in Junction City.
Oh yeah.
And there's a Georgia State Patrol sitting there, and she's doing 65 miles an hour. Well, she gets a ticket. But what's hilarious about it now is the speed limit is 65 miles an hour.
She was just ahead of her time.
She was. But the thing was, when her court date was, I brought her back over here myself, and we went up before the judge, and thought maybe he would give her some leniency, because she was young, never had any problems. But of course, he didn't make her pay for it, so you knew who paid for it.
Oh, right, exactly.
I had to pay for it. So, but I also had to take a day off of work and then, drive all the way over here.
Like, thank you very much.
And we thought we were going to get out of it because we were sitting there for such a long time, and they said, well, is that all? And the bailiff said, yep, that's all we have. And says, is anybody here that hasn't been called up here, is here for a court case? And we're going, well, you hadn't called us yet, so we gave them their name, and so we still had to pay.
Yeah, shoot. Thought might be a technicality.
Yeah. Thought maybe we were going to get out of it,
Yeah.
Maybe the cop felt sorry for it. But it was actually a Georgia State Patrol and not a local sheriff.
Right, yeah. That's what I see pulled up in little hidden places along the way. One of our reporters and photographers was found with Tiffany Simmons and Kevin Rubble. They were going to Fort Benning as usual to cover a story. And there was a sign that said 45 miles an hour. There was a discrepancy about the speed limit and the sign. And they got pulled over by an MP claiming they were speeding. And Tiffany and Kevin went and used one of my cameras and went and shot the sign that said 45 miles an hour, where it was something where it was significant where the 45 mile an hour sign was. It would exonerate them. And so they showed it to the judge at Fort Benning. He was going to let her go on that technicality until he found out she was a reporter. And then he slammed her with a ticket.
Yeah, I guess the policemen are only doing their job. So.
Yeah. Well, there's something else too. For years, we've watched our speed going down. I guess it's 280 Victory Drive. It goes through Fort Benning to Richland. So, MPs are along the way there for years. Don't see them anymore. But it was for years. They've been there for years and ticketing people. Until we learned at Channel 3 that the MPs had no jurisdiction on that road. It goes through Fort Benning, but it's not their property. It's state property. And so they can't ticket anybody on that road. And Brian and I just went down there to visit a cousin of ours, Mary Johnson, down in Andersonville. And I was pointing out how I don't see any MPs here. And Brian was saying he's never seen MPs there. But they used to be there. But they must have gotten the word from somebody somewhere along the line some years ago that they can't be enforcing the law of the speed limit on that road.
Wow. Well, doesn't 280 go south down towards Parrott and all that, down that direction?
Yeah, it does. From here, this Victory Drive becomes 280. Well, it's Victory Drive 280 through Phoenix City, all the way to Opelika. And and goes to Columbus by Victory Drive, and then on down to Richland. Well, it bypasses Richland. It goes through that, and it goes all the way, down to Parrott.
Yeah.
And Dawson. Yeah. Anyway, that's 280.
Yeah, we went down to visit Parrott. My grandmother lived there in 1920, and my great-grandfather, he was a Methodist minister, and because they didn't have enough ministers to go around, they would go on a circuit, so they went different churches. But she was, she must have been 16, 17 years old, and she had got a diary. It was actually black paper, and she used a white pen, and she got it for Christmas one year, and she was writing stuff in there, and she would take pictures that she had and would glue it to the page, I guess, or chewing gum or something, and she would put all that in there, and you know, nowadays you can just go in and delete somebody or cut them out. Well, they just went in with an ink pen and just colored over their face.
Exactly. That's hilarious.
It is. So it was real interesting going in there reading, and she talked about through the years that she would write in there that she met my grandfather, and that he worked at B.F. Goodrich down in Jacksonville, Florida, and she happened to have moved to Milan, Georgia, and I think he had family there, and then they met, and then courted, I guess you call it back then.
Right, exactly.
And then they got married.
That is so interesting. So y'all still have that diary in your family?
My mom still has it, yeah. And I've gone through it and read some things in there.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a whole slew of letters from my day in the early part of the century, like my grandparents and aunts and sort of stuff. So it's so interesting to read what was going on in their lives at the time.
This was me back in about 1998 when I played in a band. I played bass guitar. This place we played at, the drummer and the guitar player right here were brothers, and then me, I lived across the street from this guy, and this guy lived next door to him, and we just got over in this guy that was singing, we just went over his living room to practice. Well, we knew about 8 songs. Well, this bar wanted us to come down and play, sure, we'll come down there. So we'd play, and we played those 8 songs. We took a break,
Start over
and
again.
so we came back. We started right from the beginning, played those 8 songs again.
That is hilarious. That's so funny.
But we enjoyed it and had a good time,
Yeah.
and so we started learning more music, and you know, we just got together just to play because, and I had a acoustic guitar. Went to a practice one time, well, just to get together, and we needed a bass player, and of course, I didn't know anybody that played bass to come play with us, so I said, let me go see how much these things cost. So that's what I did, was I went and bought a bass guitar and learned how to play it.
That's pretty cool.
So this is that book.
I'm just gonna let you show him where to put it, but anyway.
And this is my grandmother. I guess it was a child, and then this is her mom up there. I don't know if I had a picture of it or not, but you can see where she had
Sure enough.
stamps, pictures, you know, just stuck in there. See, May 19th, 1920.
It's like, how did that time ever exist?
I know. And but these were some of her friends, and she had gone to Wesleyan College. But so there's Parrott, Georgia, 16, 17, 19, through the 19, I guess.
Wow.
And this is South Georgia College, 1919 and 1920 to 1923. McRae, Helena, and that's where Milan, that's where that area is down there. But you see there's a Wrigley spearmint.
Oh yeah, sure enough. Is that a hanky?
It's actually a horse.
Oh, okay.
It's a freshman.
I got you.
But I'll show this to the camera
Yeah.
so everybody know what we're talking about
That
here.
is so interesting.
So she would write, like I said, she would clip things that meant stuff to her. There's a candy wrapper, a stamp,
Wow.
November 21. Old Mulgee Drug Company from McRae, Georgia.
Oh.
Return $10 worth of cash receipts and get 25 cents in trade free.
Wow. That's interesting. I'm so glad y'all still have this.
My mom still has it. And there's a jack from a card deck, and I'm not sure what some
And
of this.
she was your mom's grandmother?
No, she was my grandmother, and her father, which was my great grandfather, lived down in Parrott. Was that Methodist church that's down there? He was of that church there.
But she was your mother's mother.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I got you.
And then I guess that's an old car.
Yeah, sure enough.
I don't know who the picture of it is.
And all of this was important to her at one time.
Yeah, this was her Facebook page, I
Yes,
guess.
exactly.
That, from 1920, 100 years ago.
Wow.
But her name was Miss Lily Bell Summer, and she was living in McRae. And I don't know what, there's a lot of stamps on
Yeah,
there.
sure enough.